Hello, everyone. This is Tim McKain, and this is an episode of Let's Talk Sports with Tim McKain. So before I get into any sports, I want to talk about FX Media. FX Media is a media company that was started by Tumani Johnson. Basically, what he wants to do is he wants to get a bunch of producers, filmmakers, writers, authors, or whatever you're interested in when it comes to a content-based material. Tumani Johnson is your man. It's started off in Greensboro, North Carolina at UNCG. I'm a part of FX Media. He's actually producing one of my shows called Sports Trap with Derek Hall. He's my co-host on the show. And basically, we just talk about different teams talk about different sporting events from football, basketball, baseball, and stuff like that. But for this show specifically, we'll talk about different things. But I wanted to shout out FX Media. And but for this show, we're going to be talking about different sports every other day. On Mondays, we're going to be talking about college basketball. On Tuesdays, we're going to be talking about HBCUs. On Wednesdays, we're going to be talking about women's sports in Division I specifically. On Thursdays, we're going to be talking about boxing and UFC. On Fridays, we're going to be talking about recruiting from the Southeast and from anywhere. But for me, what I do is I plan on traveling to different schools and stuff like that to find out some of the more talented players and then give off recruiting evaluation of those teams. So for today, I want to talk about a couple of things. I want to talk about Errol Spence. I want to talk about Deontay Wilder. And I want to talk about women's basketball, and specifically the women's NCAA tournament. So for Errol Spence, what I want to get into really is what happened Friday night. Now, on my podcast on Anchor, which is also called Let's Talk Sports with Tim McKain, on last Thursday, I talked about how the media did not portray Errol Spence in the light that he deserved. Errol Spence is a superstar, not was. He is a superstar. He was a superstar before this fight, and he was a superstar. He's going to be a superstar after this fight. But I truly believe that the media, all of their representation, all of the access was to Mikey. None of it was access to Errol Spence. And I just found I would look up Errol Spence news, and Mikey Garcia's name would pop up and say, well, Mikey Garcia, he's going up 2 weight classes to fight Errol Spence. And I'm not going to lie to you, that takes a lot of bravery, because not a lot of guys in the welterweight division were even seeing Errol Spence, okay? Except for Kell Brook. And Kell Brook, he's got a lot of heart, maybe too much heart, because he went from 147 to 160 to fight Triple G. And Triple G is arguably the greatest middleweight of all time. Either him or you could say Marvin Hagler. But for me, I just feel like when I look at it, I just see Errol Spence doing great things. And I said that basically that Errol Spence was going to win 2-1. I said it was going to be a majority decision. And he was going to use that boxing IQ and that skill that the fans and the media didn't say he had. And he was going to use that against them, and he was going to beat Mikey Garcia. Well, I was halfway right. I said that he would win, and I said that he would use his skill and his IQ. But what I didn't know was how bad or how good he was going to go in that fight. He actually he destroyed Mikey Garcia. Mikey Garcia didn't land 10 punches per round, and it was crazy to see, because he literally landed 75 punches. And Errol Spence landed 345. So, I mean, the man just totally dominated. It was purely domination. It was a great fight from Errol Spence's concern. So I just think, personally, it was good seeing how great Errol Spence was. And I knew it. Errol Spence is a Hall of Fame talent fighter. Errol Spence, Mikey Garcia. Shout out to Mikey Garcia. Mikey Garcia's got a lot of heart. Not everybody was going to take that fight, but he decided to take it. Okay, so I have to definitely shout him out and applaud him for not getting knocked out, because Errol Spence could have knocked him out. But this just tells me that Errol Spence is the #1 welterweight in the world. Okay, Errol Spence, he's in the catbird seat. Before it was Keith Thurman. Before it was Sean Porter. Now we're seeing Now we're seeing more. Now we're seeing where Errol Spence is the guy where everybody's like, yo, he's the #1 welterweight in the world. And now we got to fight him to get the recognition that we deserve. And so I'm seeing that more and more. And it's really beautiful to see because boxing is back in America. Boxing is back because we see a lot of young talent. Before we saw a lot of older talent. I mean, talent that we see from the 90s onto the thousands with Floyd Mayweather, Manny Pacquiao, Sugar Shane Mosley, and all these guys. Oscar De La Hoya, one of those guys. And so now we're seeing a bunch of young cats. Danny Garcia. We're seeing Sean Porter. And we're seeing Adrian Broner, even though he hasn't really been the same since, you know. We're seeing Gervonta Tank Davis. We're seeing Tevin Farmer. We're seeing Vasily Lomachenko. We're seeing Mikey Garcia. We're seeing Danny Garcia. So, I mean, there's so many great fighters. But I think the key, though, is the heavyweight division. The heavyweight division is back in boxing. And in America specifically, I want to say that boxing used to be loved in America. And it was because of the heavyweight division. It was because of the Muhammad Alis. It was because of the George Foremans. It was because of these guys that made the sport great. And so we're starting to see that. We're starting to see that now. So, and we're seeing that with the Anthony Joshua. We're seeing that with the Tyson Fury. We're seeing that with the Jarrell Baby Miller. And we're seeing that with the Deontay Wilder, who is a WBC World Heavyweight Champion. And I know that people say, well, Deontay Wilder, he got exposed. He did not beat Tyson Fury. Well, look, Deontay's not saying he has the best boxing skills. He's saying all it takes is one punch. That's all it takes. One punch, and he'll knock you out. Tyson Fury, he was beating him. Is Tyson Fury the better boxer? Yes. But who's going to win? Who's going to finish the fight? Who's going to be the guy who hits the canvas? Who's going to be that guy? And I was betting Deontay was going to be that guy. Because all he does is bait people. He baits people. And this fight that he's facing with Dominic Breazeale, okay? This brother, he's a good boxer, Dominic Breazeale. He's a solid boxer. And he'll probably win the majority rounds. But Deontay's going to be setting him up the whole time, just like he does every other fight. Every other fighter, like I remember watching him with Gerald Washington, and I was like, yo, Gerald Washington is the more technically sound boxer. Because Deontay, he's throwing all these wild punches and people like, yo, what's going on? But he's setting them up. You got to realize, man, it's a game he's playing. When he's talking all that trash, when he's doing that thing that Floyd Mayweather used to do, he's getting inside their heads. And, man, some of these cats can't handle it. And he's using that to his advantage, and he's killing them. And that's what he's going to do to Dominic Breazeale. I truly believe that he'll probably beat him in the 10th round. So I believe that it's going to be a good fight. No lie. It's going to be a really good fight. But we're definitely going to see Deontay on top. Because even though Breazeale might be the better boxer, Deontay is going to finish the fight. And that's all that matters. The W, the victory. And I'm picking Deontay to win in the 10th round. The next topic that I want to talk about is I want to talk about women's sports. Okay, I want to talk about women's sports specifically because I believe that women's sports should be more marketed. I believe it should be more represented in sports media. When you look at all the shows like First Take, you look at all the shows like Undisputed, they don't, Colin Cowherd, you know, first things first. They don't mention these shows. They don't mention women's sports, and I want to be able to give women's sports whatever I can, give them recognition that they deserve. And some of the things that I want to point out is I want to point out that Notre Dame is going to win it. UConn is great. Gino Auriemma is one of the greatest coaches of all time. I mean, you can say that maybe he could be the greatest coach. You know, if you respect women's ball, you have to at least maybe mention his name because of what he does. Because 20 years and he's won 11 championships. How many people have done that? Period. Not many, just one. His name is Gino from UConn, women's team. Check it out. So I just feel like you got to put respect on that name, but I think UConn's era is almost over. And I'm not sure if it's going to be Louisville. They got a young coach at Louisville. He might be the next guy up. I'm not sure. State, I like the way State's playing. They're in the tournament. They're ranked the third in their bracket. I did pick State to go relatively well in the tournament, but I am picking Notre Dame to win it all. Louisville is actually in the same bracket as UConn. They will face, but UConn will beat Louisville, even though Louisville beat UConn in the regular season. I believe that UConn will have something to prove, and they will get the dub. So, but overall, I say that Notre Dame wins the chip. I believe it's going to be a great championship, and anyone who's interested in basketball should see it. Well, this is the first YouTube video of Let's Talk Sports with Tim McKain. Y'all have a great night.